Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a fourth person is in custody accused of robbing a grocery store Tuesday afternoon. And another man in Victoria faces charges of DWI, and police say he had a child in his vehicle. Plus, evacuations out of Gaza continue into the second day as Israel continues its ground operation against Hamas.
Some high-level clouds are drifting back into South Texas, as you can see right about there, but they're not bearing any rain. They are bearing some warmer weather, so we're going to be getting into the 80s by the time we get to the weekend. We'll have all your weather forecasts coming up in just a moment.
Authorities are seeing an increase in anti-Semitism in the U.S. as the war between Israel and Hamas continues. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Karina Garcia. Victoria police arrested a total of 4 suspects following a robbery Tuesday afternoon at a grocery store. 25-year-old Trayvon McNeil was picked up at a house in the 600 block of Timberline Drive. He faces multiple charges, including 2 counts of tampering or fabricating physical evidence, aggravated robbery, and engaging in organized criminal activity. 3 other men are charged in the robbery as well. And Victoria police arrested 28-year-old Dallas Lepore Wednesday afternoon. Lepore. He's charged with driving while intoxicated with a child and endangerment of a child. He was taken into custody after police say he passed out while driving his SUV at the corner of Camilla and Mockingbird. A 3-year-old child was in the back seat. And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Perez.
Well, thank you very much. We had everything this week. We had Monday, Tuesday was winter. Then we had a couple of fall days, and now we're going to get a little summerish. Now, the cloud deck is rolling back in, but this is high-level cloud cover, not to worry. But even though we got to the 70s today, we'll be in the 80s for the next few days, almost 5 days of dry weather. But then there's some weather on the other side of that, but that's not about 8 days from now. We'll have all your weather outlooks and taking a look at what's going on in Europe, all that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. Egyptian leaders say there are more than 7,000 foreign nationals from 60 countries who are eligible to leave Gaza. Between Wednesday and Thursday, over 600 entered Egypt, including 74 Americans. This as Israeli forces continue their push into Gaza.
Today, thousands of foreign nationals hoping to leave Gaza after being trapped in the enclave by the war. Those whose names appeared on an approved list getting to cross into Egypt. Americans like Susan Basaiso, who came to Gaza to visit family, departing. She now has to leave them behind.
Unfortunately, I'm not even excited to leave Gaza because we have so many people that we live and care about.
2 American doctors were among the first to leave yesterday. Ramona Akumora and Barbara Zind. The 68-year-old Zind from Colorado was volunteering in Gaza before the war broke out.
We were very lucky throughout that time and lucky to know that we were leaving. But yeah, you feel guilty leaving all these people.
Other people leaving included dozens of critically injured Palestinians crossing in ambulances seeking medical treatment in Egypt. According to Doctors Without Borders, over 20,000 injured people are still trapped in Gaza. And in Gaza, Israel's bombing relentless. The IDF confirms it struck the same refugee camp in Gaza twice this week. The Israeli military says the Jabalia camp is a Hamas stronghold. Israeli forces pushing ever deeper into Gaza, releasing new video they say shows their forces on the ground, claiming they've confronted several terrorist cells and killed dozens. The death toll in Gaza rising again, more than 9,000 killed, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. And Hamas still able to fight back, releasing this video, saying it shows a bomb being dropped on Israeli soldiers in the northeastern Gaza Strip, Israeli soldiers fleeing, others dropping to the ground.
President Biden is calling for a humanitarian pause in Gaza, saying that would give time to negotiate the release of the more than 200 hostages taken by Hamas. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Jerusalem.
House Speaker Mike Johnson reaffirmed House Republicans' commitment to passing legislation for aid to Israel today. In his first press briefing as a speaker, Johnson rejected calls for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war.
Well, welcome back, everyone.
And now, as Israel begins the next phase of its war, it's been kind of disturbing to us. I've heard Democrats suggest that there needs to be a ceasefire. Let us be clear. We've been very clear about this. There was a ceasefire. It was before October 7th, and Hamas broke it. And Israelis suffered unspeakable acts of evil, as you've heard even recounted here this morning. Israel doesn't need a ceasefire. It needs its allies to cease with the politics and deliver support now.
Speaker Johnson says he intends to cut government spending and reduce the size of the federal government to pay for American aid to Israel. And Governor Greg Abbott on Thursday morning announced that he flew overnight to Israel to reaffirm Texas support for the Middle Eastern nation. His office released a photo of the governor and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The governor said in a statement that he wanted to learn more about how Texas can assist Israel in its war against Hamas. Governor Abbott said he will meet with Israeli officials and visit with victims. It is his third trip to Israel since he was elected in 2014. As the war between Israel and Hamas escalates, so are anti-Semitic tensions and hate crimes against Palestinians. The FBI director says acts of hatred towards these communities were found online and through vandalism and have intensified to, quote, historic levels. This has Jewish communities and Palestinian communities in the U.S. and elsewhere rattled and concerned about the future.
Cornell University cancels its classes for Friday following the arrest of 21-year-old junior Patrick Day. He's accused of allegedly posting online messages that included calling for the death of Jewish people and threatening to shoot up a kosher dining hall on campus.
I mean, I've seen general anti-Semitic sentiment and things like that, but to have not only a direct threat, but a direct threat to a building that I personally go to and eat at and see friends at, like, that was really scary.
The Anti-Defamation League says anti-Semitic threats increased close to 400% shortly after October 7th, when a Hamas attack on Israel resulted in 1,400 deaths, most of whom were civilians.
We are focusing our efforts on confronting and disrupting illegal threats wherever they arise.
While the Carter Center issued a statement calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, including a 2002 line from the namesake former president that said, quote, "We will not learn to live together in peace by killing each other's children." The Biden White House is drawing some pushback for its support of Israel as the death toll in Gaza has passed 8,700, according to the Palestinian Ministry of Health.
Our message is very clear. No ceasefire, no vote in 2024.
Mr. Biden has pursued a policy of death.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
President Biden has also rejected calls for a ceasefire, but suggested a humanitarian pause in Gaza to let in aid for Palestinians and let out foreign nationals. An Austin County businessman says he'll challenge Stan Kitzman for the House District 85 seat and the upcoming March primary. The El Campo Leader News reports the owner of a technical services company, 40-year-old Tim Greason, works with the design of boats and serves on the Texas A&M Task Force 1, assisting with disaster relief efforts. In the Texas constitutional amendment election, Proposition 13 would increase the mandatory age of retirement for state justices and judges. The mandatory retirement age for state justices and judges would rise from 75 to 79, and it would also increase the minimum age to retire from 70 to 75. Election day is Tuesday, November 7th. So here is your viewer poll this afternoon. You can scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, how do you plan to vote for Proposition 13? Are you for it or are you against it? We want to hear from you on this. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And of course, we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. And early voting continues tonight until 7 o'clock. You can vote Friday. Polls open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Of course, the doors are open at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center, 2805 North Navarro, Classroom A, and so far 2,184 people have voted early in Victoria County. Gas prices in Victoria continue to fall. AAA reports the average gas price per gallon in Victoria is $2.78 a gallon. That is 12 cents less than a week ago and 55 cents less per gallon than it was 1 month ago. AAA Texas reports the average price per gallon in Texas is $2.93. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. Plus, stay with us. A former Memphis police officer makes a change in his plea. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, the latest in the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Also ahead, an update in the rescue efforts of a collapsed coal plant in Kentucky. officer has changed his plea to guilty in the fatal beating of Tyree Nichols. The Shelby County District Attorney's Office says Desmond Mills Jr. agreed to plead guilty to federal charges of excessive force and obstruction of justice, as well as related state charges in Tyree Nichols' death. He also agreed to cooperate with state and federal investigations, including civil rights investigations by the DOJ. Federal and state prosecutors agreed to a recommended sentence of 15 years. One trapped worker is dead after an abandoned coal plant in Pilgrim, Kentucky collapsed. The Kentucky Emergency Management says the multi-story building collapsed Tuesday night. 2 workers were trapped underneath the rubble. Fire crews made contact with one trapped worker, but they say that worker died Wednesday morning. Search and rescue crews, authorities say it's a dangerous situation.
We're moving to a new phase, and that's because we have exhausted all measures up until this phase. So all the voids, all the places of interest where dogs may have, indicated some interest, all of those have been searched either by a person, by a camera, have dug out.
Authorities say the workers were inside the building preparing for its demolition at the time of the collapse. They are bringing in specialized heavy equipment to begin peeling away the pile of rubble in order to continue their search. And homework can be a source of stress for both parents and children, but there are ways to get those after-school assignments done with your sanity still intact.
Day at school and work, it can be the last thing anyone wants to do.
There's a lot of stress that happens around homework time in general.
6 things can set your family up for homework success. First, meet their basic needs. Grab a snack and drink if the child is hungry or thirsty. Second, set a homework routine. Get work done the same time each day, says Emily Mudd, a pediatric psychologist with the Cleveland Clinic.
For one child, it might be that they do their homework right after school, where another child, it might be after dinner. I'm making it just part of a structure.
Third, avoid distractions by putting any unneeded devices away. Fourth, work in a shared area of the home,
so they know that you're available to help them if needed.
Fifth, take brain breaks, especially if your child is having trouble focusing.
Getting outside if the weather is nice, getting some sunshine. It could be something as simple as taking a shower, getting some movement in, dancing.
Finally, parents, ask for help. If you don't know how to solve a math problem or don't understand a subject, it's okay to admit that.
You can model, I'm going to take a deep breath, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to, talk to the teacher to see how we can better manage this together. You really want to take those opportunities to model how to positively overcome challenges with your child.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The U.S. government is putting its money where its mouth is when it comes to improving school safety. Today, the DOJ announced more than $334 million in grants will go to communities across the country to help improve security, including at schools. The money will help law enforcement agencies hire more than 1,700 new officers. It will also provide critical funding to support crisis intervention teams, de-escalation training, and to continue to advance community policing nationwide.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Started off pretty nice out there, but now the clouds are rolling in. You're thinking, is it going to rain? Well, actually not. This is high-level cloud cover. It's actually that Gulf moisture that's blew out to sea. Well, it's coming back in, and that's going to be part of our forecast for the next couple of days as we see warmer and warmer weather coming in. 68 currently. We managed to get only up to 70 today, but tomorrow we'll be in the upper 70s. We'll be talking more about that coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. A few little clouds rolling back in, but not to worry, there's no real rain in sight. Here we are. We started off the sunshine, then the high deck of clouds rolled back in. What's happening? Well, the winds are turning back to the southeast, and as you can imagine, as they roll over the Gulf waters, they pick up that humidity and roll it back up into our area. But we still expect temperatures to push into the upper 70s tomorrow and have a few 80s over the weekend. It's going to be a little warm, but you know, it's not bad for November this time of year. We, of course, are going to be looking at milder temperatures over the next couple of days. As a matter of fact, on this map, as you can see, all the freeze warnings have gone away from Texas, so nobody's going to be below freezing for tonight. We're looking at the future temperatures, so let's see what's going on here. We start this afternoon, 5 o'clock. We go all the way down to 6 o'clock in the morning, and you can see how we're a few 60s and some 50s around the area, so not as cold tomorrow morning as when you head out to take the dogs out. You know how that goes. I understand. And all the way up to North Texas, they'll be in the 40s, so the freezes have been gone for a while. And tomorrow, we're going to warm up to the mid 70s, and you can see how even Dallas will get up to the upper 60s. Even the Panhandle will be looking at upper 70s. So big, strong south wind is bringing it back that Gulf air, and of course the moisture and the warmer weather as well. Let's see what's happening in the next 4 days. Well, high pressure on the east coast is keeping them high and dry. Mild air rolling up with that south wind blowing through here. That's why even the plains are going to warm up. This little frontal system, the first one, doesn't have anything to do with us. In fact, it's going to fall apart as the storm center stays to the north. We're going to be picking up that moisture and that cloud deck. But in terms of rain, not really happening as high pressure is still on top of us. Now, on the next storm on the Pacific coast, that one may have something to do with it, but it's going to be 8 days from now. I mean, if you're working outdoors and you got a roof to put up, you got no problems for the next 5 days. Big story. This is huge. I mean, this is enormous story. In Europe, let's get our eyes fixed. There's Spain. Here's France, here's England under the big low. This is a hurricane, but not a hurricane. In other words, it's not from the warm tropics, but it is a violent, vicious storm already in France. There's about 1 million people without electricity. They're getting 100-mile-an-hour winds, believe it or not. When you can see the lines stacked so closely, you can know those are very high winds. And here's the bad news. I mean, that's bad enough, but watch. That storm system goes out, and then another one comes back in. That's like getting hit by 2 hurricanes back to back in the same week. So I'm telling you right now, there's going to be a huge story all over Europe, all over the Western Europe, with violent windstorms blowing through and giving them all kinds of problems. We're talking trees down, landslides, heavy rain, high winds in excess of 100 miles an hour. For us, 77 tomorrow in Port Lavaca. In Cuero, we're getting up to 77 as well. As we get into the weekend, we're looking for 80 on Saturday and Sunday, low 80s. And like I said, there's no rain for 7 days, but 8 to 10 days, we're going to have to watch out for that. That's your 7-day forecast for now. We'll toss it back. Oh, reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, mortgage rates have dipped for the first time in 7 weeks. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 564 points, the S&P 500 up 79 points, and the Nasdaq up 232 points. Oil up $2.02, closing at $82.46 a barrel. Mortgage rates have snapped a 7th-week streak of increases. New data released today shows the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 7.76% in the week ending November 2nd. That's down from 7.79% the week before. A year ago, the average rate was just under 7%. This data comes just a day after the Federal Reserve said it would leave its benchmark lending rate where it is, but hasn't ruled out a hike before the year ends. Two popular North American amusement parks are merging. In an announcement today, Six Flags says it is merging with Cedar Fair in an $8 billion deal. Cedar Fair's flagship park is in Ohio. It also owns Knott's Berry Farm in California, Schlitterbahn Water Parks in Texas, and Canada's Wonderland in Ontario. Six Flags has about 20 parks in the U.S., 2 in Mexico, and 1 in Canada. The new company will keep the Six Flags name, and it will operate a total of 27 amusement parks and 15 water parks across North America. The Austin City Council voted 8-2 today to clear minimum parking requirements for every kind of property in the city. You can read this Texas Tribune article on our crossroadstoday.com website. And stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast with Mac. Plus, the Cajun Walk is set up at a convenience store, and the restaurant is creating a buzz. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, the extraordinary images coming in right now from Gaza, the massive assault, some U.S. citizens getting out. In New York, the massive gas explosion, many victims, including children. And the final Beatles song with all 4 members released just tonight.
This weekend, the Texas Bucket List TV show will feature the Cajun Wok. The restaurant is located at a convenience store in the 1200 block of North Bend Wilson Street. The Cajun Wok features fried fish and a popular shrimp hot box. The Texas Bucket List says this style of cooking at Cajun Wok is somewhere between hibachi and Louisiana seafood boil. The Texas Bucket List airs on ABC KVU TV Sunday at 4 p.m. Looks like it's a new lunch place that we got to try.
Yeah, I was just thinking, okay, how do I get there? Is there construction there?
Oh, right. There's always construction.
There's always construction out there, but
city, yeah.
We'll figure out how to get there and try it out. And give you
Louisiana boil,
a real report. Well, you can't go wrong with that.
You can't go.
Really. Mm-hmm. Well, folks, we are looking at warmer weather over the next couple of days. I know many of you have been reaching for the sweaters in the morning when you walk out the door, but you won't be doing that as we get to the weekend. Temperatures pushing to almost 80 degrees. Not to worry, not to worry. Through 7 days, we have no significant weather really coming in our way, but in the 8th, 9th, and 10th days, we're still talking, a week and a half from now, we may have the return of winter to the coastal bend. Okay. And so we'll be watching and waiting for that. So in the short term, just think of all those guys that are putting up roofs. They don't have to worry about a thing. They're going to be fine.
That's right. So we're back in the 80s.
Yeah, for a few days.
For a few days. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Mac, and thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.